a useless person who doesn't work deserves a divorce. Where has the kind and charming Danny, with his crinkly smile that used to melt my heart, disappeared after marriage? With a promotion came a transfer. Since it's a nationwide bank, there's no telling when he could return here. I quit my long-term job and followed him because he said he wanted me to come along. Honestly, there's no point in being with someone like this. That's fine. After the joy of finally getting divorced and to test my luck for the future, I bought a lottery ticket and, to my surprise, won a large sum. I've come to collect my $12 million. With $12 million in hand, just as I was about to reclaim a happy life, Danny got wind of it. I could see right through what Danny had been up to. It's unacceptable for him to want to grab the money and live life on his terms. I'm tired of him constantly mocking people, so I decided to fight back. I am Sarah Irving, a 35-year-old housewife. I used to work for the City Hall for about 10 years after graduating from high school. My life, which I thought would end uneventfully with a retirement from City Hall, changed drastically from that point. I met my husband, Danny, at a restaurant near the City Hall. It's a fairly big place with a wide menu, so it's often visited after meetings or completing significant tasks. That day, after chairing a meeting, I went to the restaurant alone to treat myself to a nice lunch. What's the recommendation here? There was a man troubled over what to order, looking at the menu outside the restaurant. Indeed, with its extensive menu and colorful displays inside, many people seem to struggle with their choice here. The man, tracing his finger over the signature, recommended, and manager's favorite signs, caught my attention. Normally, I'd ignore it, but something made me speak to him. If it's here, I like the chicken pasta. It's sweet and spicy, really delicious. Chicken pasta? Is that on the menu? Yes. The chicken and ketchup in the pasta mix nicely, it's very tasty. Then I guess I'll have that. His crinkled smile was so charming that I couldn't help but stare. At first, he seemed like a competent businessman, but when he smiled, he looked more like a boy. Oh, that strap. This? Influenced by my sister, I got into it and even went to a live show recently. That's the live show, right? I was there too. It was amazing. Finding out we liked the same artist, we hit it off and unexpectedly ended up eating together. It's a familiar place, and it was lunchtime, and most importantly, it was fun talking even though it was just for a short time. I felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment that couldn't be satisfied with just a lunch break. It seemed Danny felt the same as he approached me when leaving. If you don't mind, I was thinking it would be nice to meet like this again. Could we exchange contact information? As someone who spent every day in the usual way at the usual place, this unexpected event was like something out of a drama. Could this really be happening? While questioning it, we exchanged contact information. I also wanted to talk more, and it was exciting to get so worked up together. After that, we started spending more time together, eating out, attending events. Naturally drawn to each other, we started dating and eventually got married. We got married when I was 33 and Danny was 34. I cherished the happiness of spending my life with Danny, but life doesn't always go smoothly. Sarah, I need to talk to you about something. Danny came home with a troubled expression. What's with that face? Come on, let's eat. I've been transferred. I wanted to tell you as soon as possible. I couldn't keep up with this sudden news. Transfer? What do you mean by transfer? I got promoted and they told me to go see the world. It's kind of a done deal. Though surprised, part of me thought it was inevitable. After all, Danny is a banker, and it's common for his bank to have transfers. I was somewhat prepared for the possibility of a transfer. But what bothered me was Danny's words and expression. Does a regular transfer make someone look so downcast? Wait a minute. What do you mean by I see the world? Is there something difficult to say? Actually, I'm being transferred to LA. They told me to train at a branch there. What? All of a sudden. I knew as a banker you could be transferred, but to LA of all places. We lived in a provincial city, so LA was quite far. We had discussed before marriage what would happen if Danny were transferred. He had said he'd prefer to go alone if that happened. But now, Danny suggested something that would break that promise. Please, Sarah. I want you to come with me. Wait a minute. I have a job too. I know it's tough. I just can't bear to be apart from Sarah. You want me to quit my job and follow you to LA? The transfer might only last a few years before you're back at the local branch, right? How about going to LA alone for now? Danny hesitantly replied. I thought about that too. But our bank has branches scattered all over the country. So there's no guarantee I can return to this region. That's so sudden. I can't just accept it right away. Moreover, being transferred to LA means I'm on the path to promotion. That way, I can make things easier for you. Then, Danny clasped his hands together as if praying and pleaded with me. I know it's a lot to ask you to quit your job suddenly. But I really don't want to go alone. I'll work desperately since I'm on the path to promotion. So, please come with me. Faced with such a plea, I couldn't say no. Honestly, if Danny went to the transfer location alone, I couldn't imagine what our lives would be like. Besides, we had talked about wanting children as soon as possible. So living apart now seemed unrealistic. Okay, I'll follow you, Danny. But you have to work hard in return. Thank you. I'll do my best. I'll become a branch manager in the future and make things easier for you. I wish I could have told myself back then not to follow him on the transfer. Danny in LA seemed like a changed person. He became a workaholic, and most importantly, his smile was gone. Welcome home. Shall we have dinner? Huh? How can I eat when I'm this tired? He went to the bedroom with a face void of expression, looking ready to collapse. He seemed to have early mornings, as our days without even a good morning greeting continued. Danny, you look pale. Are you okay? I hadn't seen his crinkly smile for quite some time. We hardly ever ate together, and he usually returned after midnight. Although he was supposed to have weekends off, he was rarely home. Even when he came home, he would stay in the bedroom all the time. It was like living alone. I began to wonder if there was any point in quitting my job to follow him to LA. I should have somehow asked for a long-distance relationship. But no matter how much I talked to myself, it was too late. I had to find something to do for myself. Just passing the days aimlessly felt like a waste. That's when I saw a flyer in the mail and had an idea. If I was going to be home all the time, I might as well start working. So I applied for a job at a nearby cafe that was hiring. They were short-handed and busy, so I was hired immediately. Everything I saw and learned at the job was fresh and exciting since I had only done office work before. And most importantly, I was happy to see the customers' smiles directly. The cafe where I worked was famous for its latte art. And customers came from all over to see the owner's art. I thought how fun it would be if I could draw such beautiful latte art too. Since moving to LA and working at this cafe, I have found a new joy. I spent fulfilling days learning latte art from the manager during my free time. Eventually, I started to think it would be great if I could make latte art a part of my career. That's when I began to think vaguely about starting my own business. Owning my shop and spreading the joy of latte art seemed like a fun dream. It was an escape from the days of missing each other with Danny. Gradually, this escape turned into a solid goal, and I began to research more about owning my own shop. But that wasn't all. Maybe I should try my luck. I started buying lottery tickets as a form of good luck charm. The work at the cafe was fun, and I earned my own money to spend. It was killing two birds with one stone, but Danny didn't seem to approve. One day, while I was practicing latte art on my day off, Danny spoke to me in a displeased tone. "Hey, what's up with you lately?" "What do you mean? Is there something wrong?" "No. You're just playing around all the time, neglecting housework. There's dust accumulating, and meals aren't prepared." Of course, I did what I needed to do before working part-time or practicing latte art. I used to prepare breakfast and dinner for Danny. However, as he started coming home late at night and leaving for work early in the morning, I stopped preparing meals recently. "You haven't been eating at home lately. That's not the point, is it?" "What? Are you making excuses for not wanting to do it?" He wasn't usually this intimidating, but he seemed to have changed since the transfer to LA. "And what's with the cafe and latte art? Aren't you embarrassed to be running around like that as a banker's wife? And talking about wanting kids while not even preparing proper meals, that's a failure as a wife." In reality, I was going to the doctor during breaks from my part-time job. But it seemed the issue wasn't with me. Don't say I'm just playing around. As for children, I've been told there's nothing wrong with me. So the doctor asked to see you next time. "When can you go, Danny?" Then Danny suddenly started yelling and raised his hand. "What's that supposed to mean? Are you saying the problem is with me?" "No one's saying that. I was just asking when you can come to the doctor as they requested. I've told you how busy I am with work. Don't compare me with someone who plays with coffee all day." I couldn't believe Danny would say such things. Where had the Danny gone who used to smile with that crinkly face? Since coming to LA, he seemed like a completely different person. Ugh. Really, this makes me sick. I'm going to work. Wait, isn't it your day off today? And it's already evening. I have unfinished business. It's none of your business, right? He left saying that, but he clearly wasn't dressed for work. He wore casual clothes and spritzed on some cologne before leaving. Did Danny always wear cologne? My casual question was met with a glare from Danny and then disappeared. With him often leaving the house suddenly, saying he's in a bad mood, and taking it out on me, I was reaching my limit. Honestly, I wanted to build a good relationship with Danny. Living in an unfamiliar land, as the only family we have for each other, I wanted us to help and support each other. However, I had noticed that the way Danny looked at me had changed significantly from before. I wanted to have a proper conversation about it. If he had any issues with me, I'd like to address them. "Hey, can we talk for a moment?" Good timing. I have something to talk about too. I wondered what Danny, who was usually not so formal, wanted to discuss. As these thoughts crossed my mind, I sat down in the living room chair. When was the last time we sat facing each other like this in these chairs? Lately, it felt like we hadn't even been seeing each other's faces properly. "So, what did you want to talk about?" "Don't you already know?" "What do you mean? You're so clueless. That's why you can't get a decent job." I could overlook Danny criticizing me for now, but I couldn't stand him belittling the job I love. Does it really matter what job you have? It's wrong to ridicule someone's job, especially if they enjoy it. I had resisted moving to this unfamiliar place to follow Danny. But here I found my passion for latte art and dreamed of making it the foundation of my life. I felt as though he insensitively trampled on my dream of one day owning my own shop and turning latte art into my profession. There's no reason to belittle the first dream I found on my own. What? A job? Calling something as playful as that a job is far more embarrassing. It's just child's play, not a real job. Stop it. What are you trying to say? Then, Danny smirked and waved a green paper. A useless person who doesn't work deserves a divorce. Saying this, he handed me divorce papers. Divorce papers? That's right. Living off your husband without working. Think about the difference in our positions. So, that's the kind of person you are. I'm too busy with work to house a parasite. Did Danny think I would beg not to get divorced? He stood there smirking, holding the divorce papers. My staring at the divorce papers seemed to amuse him less and less. He became increasingly irritated. You don't want to sign it, do you? A high school graduate who's never worked properly won't be able to find work now. What should I do with this, I wonder? Hurry up. Your slowness is just like a woman who can't work. His eagerness to divorce as soon as possible was apparent. Danny, filled with impatience, started to fidget uncomfortably. The fidgeting man, glaring as if to hurry me, was not the man I once loved. I couldn't understand why I fell for such a person or why I came this far to an unfamiliar place with no acquaintances. But now, it was all too late. There was only one thing to do in the face of my provocative husband. I responded cheerfully. Okay? You're really okay with this? Remember, no going back on this later. I wouldn't do that. You're the one who brought these green papers because you want a divorce, right? I was done living in fear, constantly on edge around Danny. I signed the divorce papers with a smile and said to him, I'll handle submitting these divorce papers. You're really going to do it? I'll know if you do anything strange. Stop it, please. I said I would do it, so don't worry. After submitting the divorce papers and becoming a free woman, I decided to check my lottery results, hoping to foresee my future. I went to the usual lottery booth, where the familiar sales lady was. As we chatted, I handed her my lottery ticket. She scanned the ticket with practiced ease and suddenly disappeared with a strange sound. Wondering what happened, I realized she had fallen off her chair. Surprised by her sudden disappearance, I looked at the small display at the counter, which read congratulations, along with an unbelievable number. 1, 10, 100. What, 12 million? I was so astonished that I lost my voice. This was a promising restart. With this amount of money, my dream of owning my own shop felt much closer. I went to the bank where my ex-husband worked to exchange the ticket for cash. There was no particular reason for choosing his bank. It just happened to be nearby. But I had no idea at the time that this visit would drastically change my situation. I rushed into the bank close to closing time, eager to exchange my large sum of money. As I waited after checking in, a woman approached me with a smirk. What brings you all the way here? I thought the bank employee's manner of speaking was rather rude. Nothing much, really. You came all this way for something? Not really. What's with you? Anyway, could you take care of this, please? What's this? Angela looked curiously at the lottery ticket in my hand. I came here to cash it in. Cashing in? I never thought you would buy a lottery ticket. Using your husband's hard-earned money for such luxury. The bank was crowded, so only those close by could hear the employee's disrespectful words. Nobody seems to wonder about the rude behavior of this bank employee. It's unbelievable that such an employee exists, but I want to get my business done quickly. I've come to collect my $12 million. At that, the woman's smirking expression changed dramatically, and she stared at me. $12 million. Her sudden loud voice startled me. Without a word of excuse, she disappeared into a back room. Due to the amount of the prize, I was taken to the manager's office to proceed with the collection of the $12 million. Although the procedure went smoothly, I couldn't stop thinking about that extremely rude bank employee. The way she looked at me was unsettling. I opened my computer as soon as I got back from the bank. I had heard that the bank where Danny works, although a national chain, runs a blog for each branch to post daily happenings and promotions. There must be something about that rude woman. While browsing the blog, I found out the name of the rude bank employee. Knowing her name would be useful. While I was researching the woman on the blog, I received a message. It was from Danny, asking if we could meet tonight. Honestly, since I've already submitted the divorce papers and he's practically a stranger now, there's no need to meet. But I decided to see him anyway. Knowing Danny's pride, it must be a humiliating ordeal for him to contact me. The message was full of condescension. I thought you'd be lonely, so I decided to meet you. Or, I thought you were struggling with living alone, so I contacted you. Such unnecessary concern. It made my blood boil inside, but I wanted to put an end to this and agreed to meet at a cafe. When we met at the cafe, Danny immediately started talking as soon as he saw my face. Hey, can't we start over? I've thought a lot about it after that. Start over? Yeah. I was hot-headed at that time and said things I didn't mean. So, you want to meet and start over with me? Danny looked intently at me and continued speaking. Yes. We had a little misunderstanding, but I believe if we start over, we can become a good couple. I stared at Danny, who seemed to be intoxicated by his own words, and decided to put an end to this. If you insist, we could consider starting over. Really? I knew it. Sarah is the one for me. Did you think I would actually say that? Danny's expression turned blank as I decided to enlighten him. Unfortunately, I'm glad we got divorced. And your wanting to start over is all about the money, isn't it? Money? What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. You thought you could use it all by yourself, didn't you? Then Danny leaned forward abruptly, appealing to me. No, I never thought about using it all alone. With $12 million, we could buy our dream home and have a perfect restart. I never said anything about $12 million. Realizing his mistake, Danny covered his mouth, but it was too late. He couldn't hide the truth he had inadvertently revealed. There's a saying, the mouth is the source of disaster, and it perfectly fits my husband's situation. You cheat on your wife during a transfer. Make a fuss about divorce because she's in the way. And now you want to remarry for money? Don't make me laugh. No, it's not about the money. I mean, do you even realize what you're doing and saying? Danny fidgeted uncomfortably. You heard it from Angela, didn't you? What are you talking about? I know you're dating her. You thought that if we got back together, you could buy her more gifts, right? Despite the cold season, Danny was sweating profusely. That's not. Did you think you could deceive me with your lies? I showed him a photo I had with me. I thought something was strange. So I observed the bank's interior when I went there. A very rude woman approached me. I thought she had no class, but she's your girlfriend, huh? The photo in my hand showed Danny and Angela standing side by side. Too close to be just colleagues, more like a couple. It would be quite a stretch to claim this is just a workplace relationship. If you're actually trying to pass that off as the truth, you really need to rethink it. The cafe where I work turns into a bar at night. I heard from the owner and my colleagues that you two have been coming there for dates. I thought it might be you, but I couldn't believe it. This is. I mean, the owner told me you've been doing this for about 2 years now. Holding the photo, he shook visibly. Does he think it would be bad if someone saw this? So, you cheat while I only worked part-time during the day. divorce me when I'm no longer useful, and plan to be with the younger, prettier Angela. That's the plan, right? Danny had no words, looking down. But then, I won the lottery and you changed your mind. You heard about the big win and thought. His expression was a perfect fit for a gasp sound effect. Had I hit the nail on the head? So you thought that by withdrawing the divorce, you could milk me for money as your wife? Is that what you were thinking? Yes. Money is a shared property in marriage, right? I've lived with you for years, and if we continue to live together, it's undoubtedly shared property. Wait, are you serious about that? I sighed upon hearing Danny's words. How could he have the nerve to talk about reconciliation after he himself initiated the divorce? Indeed, I do have a lottery ticket, and by chance, it was a big win. But, the lottery ticket was bought after the divorce, after I submitted the divorce papers. What? What are you saying? Make it clear. It means it's not subject to property division. I've already checked with a lawyer. He looked at me with a vexed expression. Did you really think you could just casually decide to divorce me and then, seeing my fortunes improved, casually live together again? I never said such a thing. No, but that's actually what's going on, right? I overheard it. I operated my smartphone. From it, a recorded conversation began to play. The sounds of a bustling background were heard, followed by the voices of Danny and Angela discussing how, if they divorce after securing the money from my lottery win, they could afford a house and a company. The woman's excited voice was particularly noticeable in the conversation. Is this from when we were talking at the bar? How do you have this? It seems your conversation accidentally got recorded while I was video recording. Danny's face turned various shades of blue and red. So basically, you plan to quietly take my $12 million win and enjoy it with your mistress? It's unfair for you to keep it all. How can I not be angry? You play around at the cafe, win a huge amount of money, and can't forgive one or two affairs of mine. To me, it's you who's acting outrageous, idling away your time. I couldn't understand how my part-time job and his affair were being equated. But for now, I chose to overlook it. What I wanted to make clear was that fact alone. That Branch had one of the seniors who attended our wedding. You know. It's a small world. What does it matter if a senior was there? It's none of your business. The senior wanted to see the video. He's interested in flair bartending. Oh, by the way, it's the video of your conversation with Angela. At that, Danny abruptly stood up from his chair, with such force that the chair fell over with a loud noise. Hey! What are you thinking, showing that to a senior? He said he wanted to see it, so why not show him? What have you done? He crouched down, holding his head. Understandably so, as one of Danny's seniors who attended. Our wedding is said to become a branch manager. In other words, getting on the senior's bad side means an instant detour from any career path. All that I've built up, and now a senior knows about it. You thought it would be fine as long as you weren't caught, right? That's not how it works. Eventually, Danny veered off the path to promotion, and now seems to be busy shredding paper at the bank every day. He's overtaken by his juniors and treated as a nuisance at the bank, a situation of his own making. He chose this path, so he should accept it. Angela was also called up and told that resigning was her only option. She threw a tantrum, not wanting to resign, but once her affair became publicly known, she had no choice but to leave. Apparently, she resigned in the end. However, Angela was known to be incompetent at work. Unable to understand instructions, doing shoddy work, essentially unable to do anything right. She's registered with temp agencies, but isn't working, it seems. After the divorce, both of them blame and curse each other. I think it ended up this way not because of the affair, but because they didn't take proper care of each other. I continued practicing latte art and decided to go independent. I was wondering what to do when going independent, but the owner of the cafe, along with my colleagues and the owner's generosity, helped me a lot. They allowed me to open my own cafe through shop splitting. After graduating from high school, I had been monotonously doing administrative work at the city hall. Following Danny's transfer and encountering latte art was a fortunate turn in my life. Had I stayed at the city hall and let Danny transfer alone, I probably wouldn't have encountered latte art. There were uncertain nights at first, but thanks to word of mouth and magazine features, customers are steadily coming in. I never dreamed of owning my own shop, so life is unpredictable. That's what makes life interesting. Being able to enrich my days with something I love is a modest happiness that brings me great joy.